Welcome to the third episode of Trustcast. Today we're going to talk about integrated risk and compliance management. I'm here with my colleagues Max and Pim. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Hello.
Thank you for having us.
So let's start merely with a very bold question. So we see, at least I hear a lot of people talk about integrated risk.
Mm-hmm.
But what does it mean in practice? What do you think it means? And where, if they do, where do a lot of companies get this wrong or might get it wrong?
We do see that a lot of companies do get wrong. And it starts off, very least at the beginning, which starts with the process. And process and people. I know this sounds a little bit simple.
Well, sometimes the simple
Yeah,
solutions are the
they
easiest.
just start off wrong, Max, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And basically this means is that they don't really quite understand the concept of good risk management and what it
Okay.
means in practice and what this means for the day-to-day business.
What does it mean?
Well, Hans, yeah, Max, if you can, yeah.
What I think is when companies usually just have a low maturity, they start out with grabbing a framework, one specific framework, be it governance or COBIT, whatever, and that becomes the core of their risk management.
Okay.
Doing it that way just basically makes it a modular system where you keep stacking different risk frameworks on each other, which sometimes have overlap,
Okay.
sometimes they don't. But that makes you, puts you in a position where instead of actually looking at your risks, where your risks occur and what you should do about them, you're basically copying someone else's homework and just putting that in place and hoping it works or applies correctly to your organization. Whereas in an ideal situation, you would look at your own risks, your own organization, look at the process you have and the actual risks for your processes or your IT or whatever, and implement the controls for those risks.
Okay. And at what point do you think organizations should shift away from a single framework approach and do an integrated one?
That's a good question, a funny question. But actually, that if they start off with a single framework, bad start.
So they shouldn't even start with it. Okay.
No.
Okay.
You should have a more holistic and integrated approach from head start,
Okay.
instead of starting only with DORA or starting only with an operational risk framework. And also, what Max just said is that if you started in that manner, the wrong manner, then it becomes a tool. And a tool is just a tool, what you put into it and how to use it. And then people totally misconcept the way of risk management, and that it's more and more in the behavior of people instead of an instrumental way of using it.
Yeah, I think that's the actual author escapes me right now, but the term is goal displacement.
Yeah.
The controls themselves become the goal rather than the risk you're actually trying to avoid. Or
You make a very
mitigate.
specific, imagine I'm 5.
Okay, so let's say we have you are a financial organization,
Okay.
and you have a control in place to make sure that all the payments are authorized.
Okay.
So one way to do that is, and this was a manual process someday, check signatures or sign a signature for every payment that's correct.
Yes.
So basically just you're checking every payment and you're like, this is correct. That control at some point became replaced by technology,
Okay.
where we have, let's say, your payment app, and you can just send out batch payments or have 2 people in the application do the authorizations.
Okay.
If you decide to be like, hey, if your goal with goals to displacement, the control of signing the slips, which really doesn't serve any purpose anymore,
Okay.
because you already have the application in place that covers the risk, but you're still doing that just because the control says you should.
Okay.
And that is something we see a lot. Just controls that are remnants of ancient pasts where people still are doing the same thing just
Yeah.
because that's the process.
They stick to the controls because and they think it gives them a security,
Yeah.
a feeling of control, but it's false.
Okay.
And I think we did see for the past 10, 20 years a lot of companies who had that paper tiger, and they all failed, more
And
or
it-
less. And instead of looking at the controls as an instrument and signing off and being compliant, and well, that's the only benefit of risk management. Sure, it isn't, but we'll come that on later. You should look at the behavior of people and the processes and the design of the processes and the effectiveness of those processes from an integrated approach. So not solely within one silo,
Yeah.
look at, okay, these are the finance processes. Yeah, of course, but the finance processes also impact the marketing processes. And the marketing processes do impact the operational processes, the back office processes.
And they're reliant on HR processes
Yeah.
and etc. And if
So-
you just keep looking at one process or one silo at a time, yeah, you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah.
And that would be just a waste of time and money, or also harmful.
I mean, harmful, sure, in a way. Inefficiency is always
Yeah, you could say
harmful.
that.
But it could also, I mean, yes, because you could be focusing on the completely wrong things.
Okay.
And having an integrated control framework isn't only having that control framework, but also constantly doing that dialogue
Yeah.
with your colleagues, with your third parties.
Yeah.
Are these still the risks we see, and are those controls we have in place, soft controls, hard controls, are they still relevant enough for the threats we face,
Okay.
given our risk appetite and our company goals?
Okay.
Because we mustn't forget that the risk management is here to support and to make it fun, to make it helpful, instead of make it a burden, make it a compliance vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh well, those boys
Some
and
you have
girls
to
from
tick
risk
off,
management
yeah.
for the sign off. No, we're here to address some opportunities, some risks, and how to deal with it in a correct manner.
Okay.
I think, and to go back to the point of what companies do, what the potential risk of a framework is that it gets used as a checklist.
Yeah.
And this happens especially with the IT controls. I'm going to have to admit, but for instance, backup tapes. There are still frameworks that consider it as a relevant control.
Okay. Backup tapes.
Backup tapes. Just so basically big machines with actual physical tapes on there making backups. This process is slightly outdated, but most companies don't use this anymore. But
Okay.
but there's also a lot of auditors who will still be like, hey,
Oh.
how's this process? And how's this process? Even though it may no longer exist. And this
Sorry.
might
Sorry, if I understand correctly. So you mean that some auditors will still look for it
i-
while
i-
it being outdated?
yes, if you have to, if that's the framework you use, then yes.
Okay.
Even though it might no longer be relevant. And that is one of the risks of using a framework as a holy grail, and instead of actually looking at your own organization, your own processes,
Yeah.
and integrating those correctly.
Okay. You were talking about overlap of frameworks. Doran, could you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah. So people who make frameworks,
Yeah.
or people in general, are lazy.
Yes, we are.
We're there's nothing wrong with that, but we'll always try to utilize something someone has done before. You can call it standing on the shoulders of giants. You can call it copying shit. It doesn't matter. In the end, things get used. That also means that a lot of the frameworks have significant overlap. I mean, in the end, we came to the conclusion that there's a couple of risks and we need to cover those. DORA, COBIT, COBIT 2019 at least, and even ETIL, for instance, they all serve the same purpose, to cover those risks.
Okay.
They also have a lot of overlap in that. It's not exactly the same, and they'll phrase it a little bit differently. Some of the focus might be a little bit shifted here or there, but in the end, at least the control objectives are usually more or less the same.
Okay.
And that means that you shouldn't be, if you have a control in place for one of them,
yes.
there's a good chance you're already covering most of one of the other frameworks, especially with regulatory frameworks,
Mhm.
requires. So instead of just grabbing the new framework and also implementing that, look
Yeah.
at what you already have.
Okay.
See where the overlap is and what you're missing, and go from there instead of just basically
Mhm.
putting down a new framework every time a new regulation comes.
And how should you tackle that? Like, let's say if I'm missing just one aspect, should I get another framework, or what should I do?
No.
No. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, but just the question we should ask ourselves, why are we still then assessing and giving assurance on those different frameworks?
Mm-hmm.
It's rather, difficult then perhaps for people to change.
Mm-hmm.
To change their concept, their view of how to do risk management,
Mm-hmm.
and how to use in a proper way the control frameworks you have.
All right.
But of course, the frameworks we are currently in place, a lot of business is behind it.
Yeah.
Assurance people, other people, risk management, accountants, accountancy, all those branches are behind it and making money of it.
Yeah.
Which is obviously it's logical because they want a kind of a form of
Yeah.
assurance. Then you have to be really strong as a company to say, okay, now we're going to do in a totally different way. We're going to implement an integrated risk framework
Mm-hmm.
with a holistic view based on processes and people, which really works in our daily day-to-day business. But this is difficult to implement or even to start a discussion. Because a lot of our colleagues and our competitors, our clients, are still stuck in the old way of thinking, and also we need those sign off for all those controls, and if we don't have that, then it's going to be red, and we have a red flag, panic.
Okay.
I'm missing this specific
I'm
control.
missing, and please, and the control must be so specific written down. If it's not correct, then it's red, and we don't want any reds.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's also a misconception of having a red in a report out. That oh well, then we've got a big problem. No, it's good to have an orange or a red flag.
Okay.
That's the dialogue you just want to have, because then somewhere in the process or somewhere in doing business, we have an opportunity to change to make things better.
Yeah.
At least it means your monitoring is working, right?
Yeah.
I mean, controls is not about completely getting rid of risks in your organization.
No.
It's about intervening when they happen. It's about making sure there's a step before everything goes bad, that you notice when things go wrong. And that's what risk management is for. It's not, you can never eliminate all risks.
Okay. And could you make an example of that, like a tangible example, to make it more clear?
Well, we can take the payment thing. For instance, if an accounting department gets 10,000 credit notas to see in a given period, there's going to be mistakes, right?
Yeah. You get to make right note that you're doing something wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a 4I principle there, just to make sure that someone, the second pair of eyes, looks at them to catch those mistakes.
All right.
It is not to I mean, even if I'm going to be a little bit hyperbolic here, but even if the 4I principles has to, it gets declined like 10,000 times,
Okay.
that's still fine because your control is working.
Yeah.
That is,
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now I know what you mean.
it's all about, like, you're trying to make a process that makes the process a little bit more sturdy, but there will always still be risks, and there might also still be the chance that the second pair of eyes is like, okay,
You can't control all risks, and if you do that, then you have no entrepreneurship left.
yeah,
Yeah. You cannot just think of that
Yeah,
where you're just scared of acting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then you can't live.
No.
then there will be no spontaneous actions. Then will there be no innovation. Then you end up having a bureaucratic way of life.
Yeah.
Instrumental, following the rules, with no creativity at all.
Yeah.
That's not the purpose of risk management at all.
No. And when it comes to integration, is there something that especially small companies should prioritize, or not? Like, what advice would you give them?
For some small companies, but it's just the same advice I would give anyone.
Okay.
Focus on the things that are most important. There's a lot of things you can do. There's a lot of things someone might like you to do. But there's also, just go back to basic. Look at what is really important to your organization. What keeps you from, have the controls in place that keep you from falling over when something goes wrong.
Okay.
You should start with your organizational goals and your strategic agenda. Just you ask us, why are we on Earth, and what are the possible obstacles we face in achieving our being on Earth? And this means that you also have to state your risk appetite.
Yeah.
So what are the tolerances of having an incident or having a big issue or becoming a negative into the news? And ask ourselves, what kind of mitigating actions should we put in place, which are reliable, which are within budget, and of course, which doesn't hamper the creativity of our company and entrepreneurship.
Right.
And so you have to have this healthy dialogue as a company, not only from the board side of perspective, but also on an operational level.
Yeah.
Because in the day-to-day business, this is where it happens. But they need a steering wheel. They need a mission, a vision, and the threats you face in achieving that mission should be addressed and should be written down.
Yeah.
The question is, in what detail, in what depth should that be written down? And then the question is, okay, how do we control it?
Yes.
And then you can ask yourselves, should we adopt a fully integrated risk management system? Should we adopt a light version? Do we have some thematic, some agenda points which need to be addressed really soon or later on? There's all questions will come around, but the question should not be, we need an integrated risk management. Okay, let's go to the shop and we order something.
Yeah.
No.
But you guys can of course help with that.
With the design, Max. Also, but also with, of course, the implementation. But also in getting that conversation I just meant up to speed.
Okay.
And in a good manner, and say, okay, well, these are the attention points you need to focus on, given your organization's scale.
Yeah, I'm going to say something here, but Mitch might. Most people are also very well aware of the risks in their organization. It is usually not an issue that of people. Of course, there will be organizations that are completely oblivious, but
has that ever happened to you?
To some risks, yes, of course. But in the grand scheme of things, people usually have a quite good understanding of potential risks in their processes and organizations. Not management per se, but especially people doing the work will usually know what goes wrong, why, and how we can prevent it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talking to those people will usually give you a really good understanding of what control should be in place, what can happen, what never happens. We tend to overestimate risks. Even if things never happen, we tend to give them a really high risk score, simply because the impact might be huge. But if it never happens, and the costs of taking a control is huge, don't focus on that. Focus on the things that are actually important and actually do go wrong.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the.
It's if you look at the past days, it was really cold in Holland. So and we had some challenges with the transport sector.
could say that.
Especially, I think, well, they did a good job, ProRail and NS.
Mm-hmm.
But still, they're not the ProRail and NS of Austria or Norway
Sweden.
or Sweden.
Or Russia,
or-
where they just go.
Yeah, but in terms
Yeah.
of having the right controls in place.
Yeah.
Why? Probably
Cost.
snows once in 10 or 5 years.
Yeah. It's
So we accept
putting everything on
we
a
accept
scale.
this risk
and,
that,
yeah,
that
right.
it materializes.
Yeah.
Okay, then for a few days,
You stay home.
you stay home. But if you have it each weekend or each day,
Then
then
it's
it's a different
under
kind of
discussion,
cookie. Then
yeah.
under discussion, and then you need to have other controls in place.
Yeah. Okay. Then I think these kind of examples are exactly
Yeah,
the best
Yeah.
to make people understand what we're talking about here. Yeah.
yeah. So I think they did a good job for giving the controls they had in place.
Yeah. A lot of people were comparing the Netherlands to indeed Germany or Sweden, and I was reading that it's about what they put, because Sweden, for example, they don't put salt, but they put like griet. How do you say that?
Yeah,
Griet.
that's
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
English, I forgot the term. Like
Yeah,
some
I thi-
pebbles.
Yeah,
small
it's
pebbles.
marbles.
yes.
Let's
Some
call
sort
it
of
grind.
Some
Yeah.
sort of sand.
Yeah.
Yeah, some sand. But and we're saying, well, why don't we do the same? Yeah, because it costs too much to clean up afterwards. And
Yeah.
again, because it snows like maybe once every
Yeah.
10 years.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And there it snows all the time. So yeah,
Yeah.
this. And then
Okay.
also you have to look at the infrastructure, and you have to look at how many people live in the specific country,
Yeah.
and how crowded the rails is, and other transport, the roads, and then you have to take into account your measures you want to take
Yeah.
to mitigate the risk. And
Yeah.
still, if it happens, then what are the actions? Then what are the management actions?
Yeah.
How to repair?
Yeah.
How resilient you are as a company, as a country?
Yeah. And if we take everything that we've talked about up until now and we put AI in the mix, how has AI changed this conversation for companies, or will change the conversation, maybe? In terms of regulations, integrated risk
Yeah,
approach.
Max, you wrote something about it. Huh?
I
Your thesis.
You wrote
I
something
did.
about
I
it.
did. I did some research about it.
Yeah.
Well, let me, from an audit perspective, and also control monitoring, actually, we can automate a lot of previously manual controls can be automated,
Okay.
which greatly increases efficiency, and also just helps with reducing the amount of false positives. Especially if you look in the actual information security sector, the amount of false positives you get a day is really, really hard to go through.
Mm.
Okay.
That's what SOCs do most of the time. I mean, yes, they get their attacks happen and stuff, but they mostly focus on the things that are just flagged incorrectly because it potentially could be something, but it isn't. So those things might help there. From an audit perspective, well, continuous auditing, which is instead of having the taking samples on one bale on like grabbing 20 samples out of whatever population, you basically have AI or any algorithm really run through the whole population,
Okay.
which just means more higher level of assurance, more certainty, and also, well, a human could never do that, so that's cool. But yeah, it's AI has a lot of potential, but it also has a lot of downsides. I mean, privacy is not great. The fact that's a black box, not really nice, especially when making like if we see generative AI, that's not decision making, right? So
No.
there will always be a human who should at least be making or reading stuff that's output. The actual risk is when there's decisions are being made by AI, because
Does it happen?
yes,
Yep.
more than you would like.
Yeah, but for example, it's even as simple if you state a few prompts, please, and you ask some questions, please, what should be the controls for this and this process? And then you take it for granted, the response from AI, then actually, and you don't validate it, then AI decides.
Yeah,
what
and that's
controls you have.
one thing. But you actually do also have like just full-on automated AI decision-making things, which is, I mean, in Europe it's less of a thing right now. We do have it, but let's say you have an algorithm that will determine if you are if your bill is within margins, for instance. Let's say if you're with your insurance company, that decision could be fully automated.
Yeah.
If we don't know how that decision is being made, that's a significant risk, because there might be all sorts of issues there, from discrimination to just simply making wrong decisions.
Yeah,
Can you
based
feed them-
on insufficient data.
And how can you make sure that you feed them the right prompts so that the decision making is the same one that you would make?
Well, that's actually interesting. Just now coming top of mind, should we also implement controls to that control these kinds of risks, these kinds of AI risks
We should.
into day-to-day process? For example, in terms of policy, that if you ask your ChatGPT, Mistral AI agents, whatsoever, for some results, that you should always be a check from a real person or maybe another AI agent before throwing it into the organization as this is the truth and this is how are we gonna face our obstacles. So yeah.
I mean, so that's also, especially with the automated decision making, right? Where the AI Act is requiring to always have human intervention, or at least have it possible.
Yeah, but if is it still possible for humans to intervene, to validate?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. And the way I did that in my thesis is to give. To make the AI give me his reasoning.
Yeah.
Okay.
So every
Yeah, you see AI thinking,
yes.
yes?
So-
If you
just
Especially
for
if you use the agent, it takes quite a
quick
long
context for my thesis, I made a model to evaluate control design for SOC 2.
time. Okay.
To force AI to make it repeatable and highly repeatable, which was great, but to make sure that I can understand why it came to a certain conclusion. Because in the end, it was like, hey, this is okay or not okay. I gave it, I required to give me an explanation as to why it comes to a conclusion. And if you do that, at least you have some sort of, understanding of why it says something. But even then, are we really sure that's why, that's the actual reason? Because you don't know.
No.
It's all black box. It's like it's 10,000s of parameters, if not billions.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Okay, but can there be like maybe a new role or a new situation where humans and AI can work together
For sure.
in this aspect?
Yeah.
So the
Sure.
boring, long stuff that can be automated are actually automated.
Sure. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
that's one of the great.
This is innovation, all over. But when they first introduced the calculator, people were also like, "Oh no, this is not good.
Really?
No. You should calculate by yourself."
Oh God.
How am I know? How do we know if this
How
is
do
correct?
we know for sure this is correct?
Oh my God, I could never. I couldn't
Because it's a
imagine asking
computer.
myself that
Because
question.
yeah, but how does the computer know this is correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, with zeros and dots and
Yeah, one and zero.
1 and 0 is no. Yeah, but
Logic gates. Yeah.
Yeah.
so we should also use AI, but also ourselves to validate, to check that. But also, sometimes we should assume, okay, this is it.
Yeah. And do you think we'll get to that? That people would use AI like I use a calculator now, like completely and fully trusting that the outcome is
It's
correct.
already
Oh,
happening.
I
It's
think- I
already,
think-
already,
I
already
think there's a
happening
lot
on
of
secondary
people-
schools.
yes.
No, I mean, but with the calculator, I do it, and I know it's correct. But now is it now it's not. We're not at a stage yet when we can say, oh, everything they say is super correct.
That's
Will
what-
we get there?
Yeah, that's what we mentioned earlier. If still, it's based on certain sources, data
Yeah,
sources,
sure.
and they combine those data sources and the algorithms they throw on it. Can we validate those sources?
Yeah. I think now it's happening. I read about they want to make, or they did it already, a ChatGPT Health.
Hmm.
So it's a separate ChatGPT that doesn't communicate with the other, so data are not stored, so they say. So you can get more accurate answers to your questions. But maybe, who knows, we'll have one for each field, and the outcome will be correct. But
think-
Yeah,
it
prompt
is-
control testing then, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, and also just making like single purpose AI.
Yeah.
But what we're clearly seeing is that like we want ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever you're using to be able to do it all. Should we really want that? Do I want a hammer that's also a spoon?
Yeah, but that's the
I don't-
laziness of people. They just want to just give me Google, and Google tells me everything. Give me ChatGPT, and it tells me
Of
everything.
course. But-
I don't want to search for something else.
No,
That's
it is no. I
80% of the people.
of
90%
course.
of the people.
Again, people are lazy. I understand.
But yeah,
But-
if you use a spoon as a hammer or vice versa,
Yeah.
then we have a problem.
Exactly.
If I ask ChatGPT to do some difficult calculations, hallucinating.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's the new word, the buzzword for
Hallucinating.
25. Yeah, hallucinating.
Yeah.
New word
Yeah.
or for 24, 25. I don't know.
24, I think.
Yeah.
AI slop might be this year,
Okay.
which is also
And is it a
Um,
buzzword in compliance that you guys always use?
Yeah, we talked on. Yeah. we
I hate the term
GRC.
GRC
GRC.
Yeah.
Why?
because it lumps together three completely different principles.
Okay, governance, risk, and compliance.
Okay.
So the first question is, what's governance? Not only reference to risk and compliance, but what's governance?
Yes.
What's meant by it? And what's meant by it in this context?
Yeah.
And then risk is something different than compliance. Are we governing the risks then and compliance, or is governance something which stands alone?
Yeah.
If we ask to our customers and experts, they all give you different answers.
Yeah. This
What is it for you?
Yeah, a blur word. What's it called? A buzzword.
buzzword? Yeah, no. So
What would you use instead of GRC? Because there are some, now everybody knows what it's meant by it, but maybe they assume that they know, but it's wrong.
I would just completely split them up as different
This
disciplines.
is governance, this is risk, this
Yes,
is
compliance and risk
compliance.
management are not the same thing. And anybody who tells you otherwise is lying.
Could you explain why?
Because compliance is the literal act of complying to rules.
Mm-hmm.
Risk management is an internal process is for your organization to manage your risks. A regulator will never know what exact risks I have in my organization, or any individual for that matter, because
Mm-hmm.
there's one size cannot fit all.
No.
So compliance is, yes, a risk, I suppose, but
I think that AI is a bigger risk for compliance than for risk management.
it is.
And then we got the word governance.
Yeah.
So governance is something like steering,
Mhm.
or I don't know. And are we steering then compliance and risk together? So, or is it controlling the process? Yeah, please tell me. No, it's a buzzword, and most of the time you don't. Okay, Pim, you're responsible for governance, risk, and compliance. You're the PTA on that. Good luck with it.
Yeah.
And they put legal also with it. So
But it's also just completely different mindsets, right?
yeah.
It's if you have someone who is actually really good in compliance, it's usually a more check the box kind of
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
Whereas that is the opposite of what you want with proper risk management.
Yeah. That's
Don't-
Right.
way more agile, way
Yeah,
more
yeah.
holistic, way
Yes.
more
Ad
more-
hoc.
Yes.
Yeah, ad hoc.
And if you're waiting for regulation to come out for that to be a risk management, you're gonna be too
I'll
late.
wait a long time.
No, but
Yeah.
but I think we're back on one of your first questions. That's basically where it goes wrong. That
Yeah.
a bigger or smaller company, they just want to use it as a compliance.
You want someone to tell them you're good.
Yeah. Okay. This we're in control,
Mm.
and we have our integrated risk system, and now we're in control, and now everything is gonna work. And okay, we implemented it and then we never have to look at it all
It
over
can,
again.
yeah, it
That's
can-
that's what we see in a lot of
yeah,
companies.
the term you used before, the false sense of
Yeah.
Security.
security
Yeah.
is what it does give you a false, because you feel you're in control, even though, because yes, you're doing the things that they tell you to do,
Mm-hmm.
but that's really the things you should be doing.
I would rather have a company not having a risk framework, integrated risk framework, instead of having than having an integrated risk framework which is only instrumental
Yeah,
and
yeah,
doing
check,
it for
check the
compliance,
boxes.
check in the box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe a controversial question. Also, going back to what we discussed before with the other episode. Do you think that we are more reliable and we're doing it better in Europe compared to in the US, or do you think that we have too many regulations and too much bureaucracy?
Well, first of all, sorry, Max, but first of all, I know that you really want to answer this question. First of all, it's really difficult to give an answer because I don't know the statistics of America versus Europe.
Okay.
But I do know that deregulation is more the way to go in America instead of Europe. So we're more kind of bureaucratic and more risk-averse kind of society than the United States.
Yeah.
For example, and China. On a broader scale, strategically, I think it would help Europe to be more, agile, less regulation to a certain point, of course.
Yeah.
Because if you keep going deregulating the way we're doing, we're missing it.
Yeah.
On AI, on innovation, yeah.
And do you also think that companies should always go European when it comes to regulations and?
Okay, then I leave it to Max, but it has to do with the culture, with the people.
Yeah.
Rhineland people don't accept Anglo-Saxon way of work.
Mm-hmm.
Swedish people don't accept the directiveness of the Dutchies.
Mm-hmm.
Italian are maybe more in hierarchy than Germans. We in Dutch tend to just
Have less hierarchy.
have less hierarchy. So yeah, it depends on the culture of a company, the culture of a country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think that the answer here is, from my perspective at least, is twofold. On one hand, as a consumer, I'm really glad we have all these rules.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Me too.
As someone living in the EU, really glad that companies don't tell the government what to do, but vice versa. On the other hand, you do see that it's a lot harder for organizations to operate.
Yeah.
And
especially when you want to compete.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if your competitor has no rules to deal with, and you have to do a lot, you have to jump through a lot of hoops, they're gonna have an easier time.
Yeah.
And that's it's gonna damage the your market position a little bit. I mean, we also have the fact that if you want to operate on the European market, you'll have to, comply with European law. We also see that big American companies feel different about that. But yeah, it's really. I think it's important that we regulate, but we should also make it easier for companies to, especially when you look at.
We should allow certain risks to happen.
Exactly.
Okay.
And afterwards, accept those risks and try how to fix it.
Yeah, but also like looking at for instance, the fact that we got NIS2, GDPR, DORA, and then we have the individual states who are also going to put out law. It's confusing.
Oh, there they come again.
Yes. And if we at least make it simpler for people to at least know what they're supposed to comply to, that might help.
Yeah, what you mentioned earlier, we should have the omnibus.
Yes, the omnibus. Yeah, I mean, the EU is working on it. It's a great initiative. I hope it's gonna result in the way they want it to. But I think that would help.
What is maybe like a last one? I don't know how we're doing with time.
for overtime.
Oh,
overtime.
Okay, well, we
Just
will
one-
wrap it up. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
what is a risk that you're willing to take? You're saying that we should allow some risks to happen. What would be one risk that you're going to be like, okay, if that happens, and
In
as long
terms
as
in terms of our business as security,
Yeah,
in
no, no,
terms
no,
of
in
a broader
the-
scale,
yeah, in
in
general.
personal life.
no, in general, like you said that some risk, like for a company, when in order to be more agile and as long as you keep doing your business, what is the risk that you might put in the pot of, okay, if it happens, can you make an example?
In terms of our services, I'm just thinking out loud.
No, just because you were saying
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
I got
Yeah.
curious. Like, what would like you can think of a random company, like even that a company doesn't exist, and invent like a business they're in. What would be for them like a risk that you say, okay, like if that happens, as long as you're agile, I think.
Well,
you could-
if you're restructuring a company and you have some old entities, you can do two things. One thing, you can look it all through, sort it out. There are no risks, no things in the closet left when you got an empty entity, or accept and be way faster, a year faster, integrating a company. And then, then afterwards, we have an issue, but we can manage and we can pay this.
okay.
That's, I think, sometimes, but it also has to do with our Germanic approach, I think, in things, in the Netherlands at least, and also in Germany, but I can't speak for Germany because I'm living here, that we tend to be over controlled.
Yeah.
As
Okay.
as a country, as a company, as a person. Traffic lights everywhere. And
Yeah.
then if the traffic lights are not functioning, what then? Panic with people.
Yeah.
But a lot of countries in the world don't use traffic lights. And everything goes also fluently and well.
Yeah, that's a very good metaphor. Okay.
So we shouldn't be over secure. And the most important lesson I've learned in life, but also within companies, is that you if you can't fall, how to stand up and learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if everything is controlled, then we don't learn anymore.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that our time is up. I want to thank you both for coming and joining. It was very interesting. I think we could go on for hours if we had the time. That was it for today. If you have any questions about what we've talked about, leave the questions in the comment and we'll be happy to answer them.